Hello and welcome to this week's casual review. I'm Fred. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And what I mean by casual review is it's quite simple. I like playing video games, and particularly games that have a beginning, middle, and end. And when I finish a game over on my Twitch channel, aka reaching the end credits, that's generally when I record these little commentaries. And I give my thoughts and opinions on the overall gameplay experience. And this week's subject is Lego Batman 2. I finished it on in the early hours of April 5th, 2024, and this video, as indicated in the date in the description, is being recorded a few hours later. My overall opinions on this game is that it's your typical Lego game, but it does have a few nuances based in comparison to some of the other games in the Lego genre that I have played. You have a nice open world with Gotham being very well represented. It covers just about. It's like one of the best representations of Gotham City that is not, seen in the Arkham game universe. All right, it you have the nice Gothic architecture, and of course everything stylized with Lego to factor in the gameplay gimmicks. Which does raise a question, though. Is like in the Lego universe, are they actually mining these materials to build these structures? See, nobody actually, asked that question, but it did occur to me to point that out. The overall story of Lego Batman 2, Lex Luthor is in Gotham to be presented a Man of the Year award. He loses to Bruce Wayne. Joker shows up, steals Lex's watch. Lex gets inspired to take advantage of the Joker's uniqueness to for his presidential campaign to in a ballot rigging type situation that's very much something like Donald Trump would do. I'm not editing that out. Not that I do any editing anyway. But it's a straight up political scheme to get elected by any means necessary that basically backfires in the long run or short run because it's a fairly short game. It took me about three full streams to finish in terms of the main gameplay while also being distracted in the open world, which we'll talk about more in a bit. Controls are pretty standard, although the game does do a fair job in restricting who you can use until you have finished the game. So generally, you're opening up with Batman and Robin for several stages. Then you get Batman and Superman as a duo, and then he goes back to Batman and Robin for a hot minute. Then the other DC superheroes, Flash, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman and Cyborg show up, to kind of give the big, big push in terms of the marketing of this game. Essentially, they could have been called Lego Batman and Superman because that is essentially what it is and where a lot of the plot focus around. Because Batman, as we all know, is a jerk who deserved the ending that he got in Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. And this game kind of leans into that oh, he's a loner, he doesn't want to ask for help, blah 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 blah, he has his issues with Superman, blah blah blah. So yeah, typical stuff there. Superman is glad to help and to lend a hand. Batman's ego won't let it. It's like Batman's ego is huge, right? It's that plain and simple. But you get a nice variety of levels, and in comparison to the first Lego Batman game, I found this one, particularly early on, to be a lot more puzzle heavy, and because it really pushes the need of all the suit mechanics for Batman and Robin early on. That becomes a little bit more downplayed when it switches to Superman being the second character. But the trade off is well worth it because Superman is very well rounded to cover several powers and things that are necessary for various puzzles. But it's not there's not as many puzzles, I feel, in like the middle to latter half of the game. There are, but it just doesn't seem to be as many. And I did find a lot of the puzzles to be quite clever. Although I will admit the last real puzzle of uh there were some instances where I feel like I got fooled and that I wasn't paying attention and did not realize what the hell I was looking at first. Um, so visually, the game looks good. Sound wise, in terms of the voice acting, you got a pretty strong voice acting cast. It's like I believe looking at the cast list, you had Laura Bailey, you had Cam Clark, Townsend Coleman. I think Nolan North uh, supply, supplied his lent his voice to something. To a character in this game too. But the characters that have the most heavy dialogue are Batman because with all the cutscene stuff are Batman, Superman, Lex Luthor, Joker, Robin, and just about everyone else really doesn't get a whole lot of things to say. So if you're expecting to hear a lot from your favorite DC superheroes or villains in Lego form, you're kind of gonna get like a small sampling at best. You get your grunts, your groans, and for, but by and large, it kind of is what it is. This also leads me to one of the major issues I have with this game is that apparently a lot of the cutscenes were ripped directly from a movie or a short film based on this whole gimmick of the Lego DC superheroes and villains. Because I did have to edit a couple of the stream versions of stuff here for the YouTube channel when I ported those streams over. So I'm kind of disappointed in that, but that kind of is what it is. There, it's like, but the fact that they lifted things so directly and that it literally the content feed, the content ID scanner for YouTube was able to pick up on that is just disappointing me. I'm thinking that was like these were going to be like original cutscenes for the game. No, it's like they're actually taking footage from something else. Uh, and then there's also the music. Again, I had to play this with the music off, but the much like Lego Batman, the first game, and almost every Lego game that's based on a major franchise, the reliance on like the film scores and soundtracks from the films or TV shows really like I really couldn't listen to it because I had for DMCA reasons. But I do prefer games that actually have an original soundtrack and stuff to work with because this way you get the full experience. But at the same time, that there was the trade off is when I went to into the open world part, I was able to hear like a lot of the citizens in peril. So I was able to track down more without having to worry about trying to filter out with the music blaring. So there is that trade off there. Uh, Now, staying on like a couple of the negative aspects of it, and the flying controls uh, for if you're flying as Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, or if you're flying in a vehicle, a helicopter, or Brainiac's UFO, they're not pleasant. They're not as straightforward as one would seem. But on the positive side, the ground vehicles, like if you're riding a gorilla or the Batmobile, anything on the ground, these I would have to say that it's the best controls for ground vehicles in any Lego game that I have played. And I say that about the flying, but as you see here, this is actually almost like a rail shooter section with Superman and player two can be Batman, and I guess I could go split screen. Um, but it's a fine little thing there. In terms of, I actually like the rail shooter parts, and it definitely was a change of pace because it's not every level was the same. You had vehicle sections, but they were like they were rail shooters. So there was like about three or four. So they served they broke it broke things up quite nicely. Let's see. Let's see. Other things about this game that stand out. The achievement list is actually seemingly doable. Sure, some things may seem overly grindy, like okay, get like 10 billion, 100 million Lego studs, but it is actually doable because I've that is something I've done in a couple of other Lego games. It's doable to get like the max amount of studs. Unlocking every character, finding all the gold bricks and the what is it called? The red bricks. That can be there are things that can be unlocked to make those a little bit easier along the way. But again, it's actually doable, and it feels more doable in this one, especially in the open world. Um, Going back into the levels is going to be, which I have not done at the time of this recording. It's going to be a little bit interesting this in terms of like going through and trying to find everything. But that also leads me to point out that there are the unlock codes for a lot of the for a lot of things, but not everything. In terms of like you can unlock the two stud multiplier, you can unlock uh the red brick finder via cheat codes, unlock a few minions, Harley's motorcycle via an input code. So that's all available. A lot of those are on GameFAQs. You still have to find like the really good stuff, like the 4, 6, 8, and 10 times stud multipliers. So, but still, you can go ahead. You know, they're doable because when you have the red brick finder, you can be able to track everything down. Let's see. Is there Lego games are kind of tough to talk about because like they pointing out the uniqueness here. Oh, but getting staying on the achievement list, getting back to that here. In case you can't tell, I don't exactly do this with a script. There are some rather unique achievements that I found. Like you have to beat General Zod using Superman. Beat Sinestro using Green Lantern. So you can do those at certain points. As like it obviously post game, but you Superman you can do mid game when you are roaming the city. Uh, and uh, and also my favorite one: use a female character. In this case, it was Wonder Woman, riding a gorilla and climb up Wayne Tower. And which was a fun little, obviously it's a King Kong reference, but that's also really key because that is where Riddler is hanging out up on top of Wayne Tower, which is necessary because there are Riddler boxes hidden throughout the game, and you need him to open them up to get the prize that it is inside. But I think that general that kind of covers everything. So the big question here is, would I recommend this as a casual game? Obviously, I would recommend it. It's a Lego game. It's a fun game. Now I played it solo, so I didn't have anyone available to see what it's like playing co-op. So we had the total solo experience from beginning to end, which was fine. Clearly, Lego games are a lot better when you have someone with you and you can figure out puzzles and bounce things off of one another. So there's that. But I think with some of the finicky controls with flying, was the second character person having to play Superman, it's like that might lead to some slight issues in terms of frustrations, like with how Superman goes up, down. The flying gimmick in the game does not quite work. Again, I recommend in that regard. In terms of replay value, well, once you finish the main story, you can go back and replay any stage. So there is that, and you are encouraged to. So it has replay value in that regard. But in terms of going, would I want to go through the entire story beginning to end with all the cutscenes? Maybe, maybe not for just a lark. This, going through it. That I could see myself doing that at some point, but it's not something I would want to do, considering I can go back and replay the levels in any time to get all the additional collectibles and stuff. Let's see. I think that just about covers it here for this week's casual review. So with that said, you can find the entire playthrough here on the YouTube channel. It's under the playlist for Lego video games with other Lego games I played, I put them all on the same playlist. And of course, you can catch me live over on my Twitch channel, assuming nothing has happened to me at this point. So 7 nights a week and everything, where we do a variety of different nonsense. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And tighten your friendship bracelet, stay safe, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.